Hey, what's up? This is Silas. This is going to be an I See Good Things series where I just talk about things that I saw, and I just came back from seeing Blade Runner 2049. If you like the first Blade Runner, if you like sci fi movies, definitely check this out. I think if you like drama movies too, I heard a lot of people say it was good. A few friends of mine, not a lot of people, a few friends of mine said it was good. I decided to go watch it. Excellent film. Watched it in this movie theater here in Kenya. 400 shillings, which is $4, so definitely worth $4. I would pay for it a lot more. Going to movies sometimes when I was back in New York, you'd pay something like $16 for a movie, and then you'd watch a movie and it wouldn't be that good. And you're like, I paid $16 for this. Ugh. But here, $400, it's excellent. So 400 bucks, 400 shillings, which is $4. Anyway, so watch this great film. I'm going to go through this. There's going to be spoilers, so just bear with me. If you don't want the movie spoiled, you should probably just watch something else because I'm going to be discussing the movie from here on out. So my general theme with the movie is we're programming ourselves. That's kind of what I was getting, and showing that, okay, look, humans create replicants in this universe, and then the replicants have a dividing line between humans and replicants, and humans can give birth, replicants can't. But then it turns out that one replicant, who's the main female replicant from the first film, actually ended up giving birth with Decker, who was the main character from the first film. He was an agent tracking down replicants. I forget the name of the main replicant, the main antagonist in the first film. But in this one, Decker comes back again, and I think they finally answer the question if Decker is human or not. And that was a question that was going on with the first Blade Runner. I remember people wondering, is Decker a replicant? Is he actually human? And it was never really answered. It was kind of left open. And this film actually also ends with kind of an open ending, even though it doesn't completely close it, and I kind of like that, and I hope they go forward to future films. But back to the story. With Decker, he comes back, and I like what they did with this film. They set it up from the start. The main character is clearly a replicant. They throw some little ties in there where I'm wondering, was this done on purpose? Because they're kind of saying, when he says he's a replicant tracking down other replicants who need to be tracked down, he says if he gets to a situation where he's a replicant that needs to be tracked down, he'll be tracked down by someone like him. Later in the film, Decker says, I used to have your job. And then it's kind of setting up, like, was that job always done by replicants? So is Decker also a replicant? Is he just a lower spec replicant? Because when he's fighting the actual replicants, he doesn't damage them anywhere close to as much as a replicant on replicant fight. Okay. So one thing I started noticing was when Kay, who's the main replicant in this film, the played by Ryan Gosling. Sorry, he played by Ryan Gosling. White people don't look the same, but he goes to his apartment and he's met by this female construct that shows up multiple times in the film, and that's, I guess, his main love interest in this film. And it kind of it kind of made me think that we already live with projections and constructs of people in relationships. And the inverse to the voice call, like when they gets to a situation where he finally puts her into a chip where she can travel around with him, gets an upgrade where she's not just stuck in the room, but she learns and she goes out and have this really cool scene where, yes, she's a hologram, but it's a learning computer. So as the hologram is going out into the rain, the computer is starting to interact with the rain and kind of simulate what the rain would look like, and it might be sending them signals into their head to, this is how you react to rain. And they do this scene where they come together and they're kind of making out, and then the voice call comes in and just breaks through this romantic kind of moment, and you can see he's taken aback from it. And I thought this was cool to show that, look, this is a creation of somebody he cares for in a way, yet at this moment of closeness, this call comes in and makes him think, okay, this is not real. This is just a visualization. Whereas in the inverse, in the life that we live, in reality, we seem to live in a situation where we are living with these constructs. They might be flesh and blood. We might be able to touch them and feel them and hear them and see them and be around them in that sense. But it also gets to the point where when we're actually having intimate moments or having close moments, we almost wish that somebody would call and interrupt us because it would knock us out of this artificial environment that we have. Yet he really wanted something real, and he was knocked out by it. So I thought that was a cool juxtaposition there. I don't know if anyone else picked up on that, but I kind of felt on that. So he ends up going and meeting the agent for. Okay, sorry. In the first scene, he finds out that he's tracking down one of the earlier replicants who apparently had something to do with Decker in the first one. Then he finds some bones, and the bones find out that a replicant had a kid, and then this whole film is pretty much tracking down this kid. And very early on, we kind of start thinking like, okay, maybe Kay is the kid. But during this process, he ends up going to the main hub that creates the replicants, which is by this guy named Wallace. I think it's Wallace Industries. I didn't see the name of the industries. It was off in the corner. I didn't get to see it. But he gets there and he's trying to follow leads as a detective to find what happened with this replicant. How did this replicant have a kid? Let's find this kid. Let's destroy the kid, because I guess that's what his mission was. So he does this, and then he's found by this super replicant. I guess super replicant. She's a high grade replicant working directly under Wallace, and her name is Love. And he says something like, he named you, so he must care for you. And that's kind of cool how people do name things that they care for you in a sense. And I also like the idea where Wallace, the main character, the main antagonist, I would say, was he the main antagonist? Because he didn't really actually fight directly with him. And I'm hoping they actually go to they continue this series of this universe, this Blade Runner universe, because I want to see the other planets, because this is what Wallace did. Wallace purchased the technology from the previous company and upgraded it, and now they've terraformed and they've colonized other planets. Humanity has colonized other planets. And apparently Wallace's main impetus in this whole story, his driving force, is to try to create a replicant that can give birth. And they show him creating this new replicant and then slicing her stomach because she can't, I guess, give birth. And then she's barren and she seems to die. And later on in the film, there's another callback to that where Love is attacking one of the police chief, and slices her in the stomach, which I think was kind of a cool callback. There's a lot of little nice, small little touches here and there that was like, oh, that's a cool little touch that they actually put this as a callback to the other thing. And now this might just be me knowing more about filmcraft and having studied more of it, watching a lot of Red Letter Media and other things like that. I mean, finally now that I can watch the film, I can go see what Red Letter Media review does. I'll leave a link to that too below. I think those are good guys for talking about movies. But anyway, so that nice touch, that was there. Another nice touch I found out is a part where Kay's visual construct, his girlfriend, his created girlfriend, syncs with this prostitute that before, actually another small touch, before that prostitute was interacting with Kay, and she said, you're not into real girls. And then later on you find out that she too is a replicant, which shows there's even levels of realness. There's the real as in human, and then there's real as in physical flesh body, then there's real as in programmed, like with higher aspects, and there's a real where it's like, okay, this is a real construct that can follow you everywhere. This is a real construct that can just stay in your room. So it's just showing the different levels of interaction with things, what makes something real, what brings these connections, what is it to be human, what is it to have this human experience. And I thoroughly enjoyed that whole aspect of it. So yes, anyway, nice touch. She was sticking with her, and then they got this place where she walks behind her. So she kind of goes on the prostitute's body, so he can see her while he's making out with her. So he can feel her and see his visual construct girlfriend on her face. So match the body in that sense. But then when she goes behind him, she cuts off the sync, and I thought that was just a small little touch, but it's like, okay, would she still need to be in sync if she's behind him and he can't see her, because the sync is just for him to be able to see her. So I thought that was kind of cool. So there's another nice touch that I saw here. The nice touch was, the slicing of the tummy. And I also liked that Decker, when they first met, he was trigger happy. It wasn't that whole thing where he's like, oh yeah, I'm just going to sit down and talk to you. It's like, no, I've been hiding out here. I'm very paranoid. It was kind of also a callback to the whole Han shot first thing, where he kind of just got to the point, he's like, no, I'm going to shoot you. I'm not going to listen to you. Because he knows replicants can lie. He knows replicants can't have feelings. So he's not into that idea where he thinks, oh, I can just talk to somebody and that person will just tell me the truth. So, a few other ideas in this was dystopian future. I thought showing this dystopian future is where everything is a mess. I'm kind of questioning that, because I think the world today is a lot cleaner than it's ever been. in history. Like you look at places that aren't as technologically advanced, and they tend to be dirtier than places that are. So the idea that in the future we're going to have this massive wastelands of just technological crap and dirt and darkness, I don't think that's going to be the case. I think in general you're going to have happier, cleaner, more towards nature and evolved kind of environments than you will in the sense that were shown in this movie, even though the imagery and the visuals were amazing in this film. Some other things, sometimes it loves, sometimes you got to be a stranger to love somebody. That's something that Decker's character says when he's told you didn't want to find your kid. At this point, we're thinking Kay actually might be the kid, and he's saying these things to him, and you're like, "Oh, I can't believe you're saying this to your kid." It's like sometimes you have to be a stranger to love somebody, and I think that goes back to that whole. To me, it's more of a callback. It made me remember the thing in the start with the constructs, where it's like, are we actually strangers to the people that we care about? Now, if you have a construct in that sense, where later on in the film they also show that that construct is supposed to tell you what you want to hear. That's actually the program. So if you have somebody programmed to tell you what you want to hear, is that a true connection? Is that truly love? Now, if you're with somebody who is a stranger to you because all they're doing is telling you what they think you want to hear, instead of actually living and trying to get to know who you are, disagreeing with you when it is, giving you pushback here and there, what's that situation? Then later on you even find out that Kay apparently might have been programmed. I'm not going to give the biggest, I'm not going to drop the biggest plot point with this, but it turns out that he might be programmed to think he's the kid. So you don't know if he actually is the kid or not. Or should I just say it? I've said so much already. Okay, he's not the kid. At least I thought when they found out that he's not the kid, I'm like, okay, no, I still think he's a kid. Even with the end, let me ask you guys, even with the end, I still think he might be the kid. Or is it a situation where the way they showed it, where it really is that chick who was giving the memories to people, and she was actually implanting and programming people the whole time to get Decker back to her, to free her from that place. I don't know if she gets freed from the place, but yeah, I don't know. When I first saw that plot twist where he sits down, he's confronted by the lady, and he says, "Oh, you thought it was her? It was part of the plan. You are." I mean, we all thought it was us. We all thought we were the kid. And to me, I was like, wow, that's tough. And I thought, okay, that was a plot twist. It's not going to be a plot twist. It's going to end up in the end that he still is the kid, and this is just something that they're telling him to do this, or they'll find out later. But at least the way the film ended, I think it seemed to show that he actually wasn't the kid. I'm going to keep in my mind that maybe he was the kid, and that little girl was something else. But it kind of makes sense why she'd have she'd be immune compromised, and why she'd be doing what she was doing. But yeah. So I'm just going to wind that down here because I think I'm losing track of where I'm going with this. And a few things I took from the film, the eyes. When you're watching a film, when you're watching Hollywood film, I think the main thing that actors have is eyes. There's the character who was playing the prostitute. I don't know who was playing her. Character who was playing... I forgot the names of some of the female actresses in this one. I know Robin Wright was the main... was the main police chief, and the confrontation between Robin Wright and Love, that cyborg, that shows to me, it made me recall this whole idea that female characters are not strong characters in films. I think female characters have always been rather strong characters in films, but it's in different ways. They embody different kind of energies and power and force, and they're a part of it. In a good narrative, they're a part of it. We are a sexually dimorphic species. We have male and female. And then when you go to cyborgs, now you also have cyborgs, so the strength level can now be discussed, where you can have a realistic fight of one cyborg, a female cyborg, fighting a male cyborg, because in that situation, they're cyborgs, they're both using the strength kind of issue isn't that big of an issue at that point. In fact, Love might even be a higher spec cyborg than Kay was. But coming back to that scene with Robin Wright's character, the chief of police, and Love, that was showing a really strong positive female character, a really strong negative female character. And having that confrontation and showing that, look, this has always been a trope. It's always been there. They've had also the digital damsel in distress kind of idea, where they had his digital construct decide to come along with him and embrace being away from her main infrastructure, the main mainframe of these programs. And she was like, I'm just going to be on this little antenna that you hold. And if that antenna gets destroyed, she becomes she dies just like a human character, just like a human being would be, and she wants that. She wants that mortality. She wants that ability to die and to end, because it makes her more. It makes her value her life more. Now, I don't know if that was just part of her programming, her saying what she wanted to say to get him to do what he needed to do. That's another deeper part of the question. But that's sure the digital damsel. But that was a digital damsel in distress. That's kind of the Cinderella, the Snow White. But just like in Cinderella and Snow White, you also have the fairy godmothers. You also have Cruella de Vil type characters. You have the evil witch. So this whole idea that females have always been these damsels and that's been it is a lie. There's always been strong female characters, both in positive and negative aspects, in good storytelling. So I'm going to wind that down now. I enjoyed the film. I think the main evil of this film might have been determinism, where it was just saying, okay, things are supposed to happen the way they are. And I think most of the characters kind of breaking out of these things that are to be determined idea, to me, was them becoming heroic and breaking out of this thing where everything's inevitably supposed to happen. You know, like, oh, you're supposed to kill Decker, or you're supposed to find him this way, or you're supposed to get caught, or you're supposed to do X, Y, Z, or you're supposed to tell this person this. There's that whole aspect of coming out of that, breaking out of these bonds. And I also like the way the breadcrumbs were taken to get Decker back to this person, back to his daughter, back to his child. Where it's like, we're going to put these seeds of memories into different people, into different replicants, and then we're going to see what happens with those replicants. It doesn't mean every single replicant is going to be successful at doing it, but they have these little seeds of ideas into them, and from that, the decisions those replicants make will lead them to come and do what they need to do to get Decker back there, or to get the storyline moving. So, sorry about the jumbled mess about this. Thanks for listening. If you did listen, let me know what you guys thought about the film. Do you guys, like me, hope there's going to be more? I think there's going to be more, with the replicants talking about there's a revolution coming and saying this is a smaller part of something bigger. No matter what happens to me, you, and Decker, something's coming. They talked about these other planets. They teased the other planets. They almost actually went off-world. So I think they are world building, and I think it's an excellent storyline. I'm really glad this has happened. I'm really glad what they did with this. Like I said, just taking that whole idea. The main idea with this was Wallace's character bought the older technology. Something happened, a blackout happened with that, and then that reset everything, and then now they're building up this new replicant universe. And I think that's the same thing they're doing with the storyline. That storyline happened, it failed in the movie theaters, it was a bomb, kind of became more of a cult hit, people enjoyed it after. But I think they're also saying, yes, we've taken that, we're refreshing it with these new ideas. I really like how they brought the older characters into the film. Edward James Olmos's character was there. I really like that line where he said, we both like to work alone, that's why we work together, so we could work alone. So they were partners, you had to be partners. So they would put us partners, and then they just had an agreement within themselves, like, I'll let you do what you want to do, you let me do what I want to do. And then they kind of also tied off those older characters in a good way. I really like how they did that. Harrison Ford's character, Decker, he might be back for if they continue this series. I mean, there's an easier way for them to not, because like they said, this was about, like there's a female replicant in there who says to Kay, this is about more than you guys. This is not just what happens with Decker. It's about something bigger. It's about a revolution. It's about other worlds. So I can imagine this character is this kind of closing that off. Using a character similar to Decker in Kay's character, getting that full, not a full close, not a full 360, but just getting that storyline kind of refreshed, redoing it, and then tying it off where he seems to die on the steps. I really like that end of scene. Yeah, I think it was a really excellent movie. If you guys enjoyed it, if you guys enjoyed this review, or whatever it was, this ramble talk through through Blade Runner 2049, please give a like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell if you're on YouTube. If not, let me know what you guys thought about it, or where I can improve on these. I know it's a little rambled and jambled and all over the place. But yeah, that's it for this video. Thanks, and goodbye.